Hello! This week's Parshias, Vayakel and Pekudei, are the very long end sequence of the book of Shemos, but they are accompanied by the fourth of four special readings for this time of the year, HaChodesh, which is the 12th chapter of Shemos, which talks about the new month, Nisan being the beginning of the Jewish calendar, and the first moment of Exodus. It's an opportunity to explore why these four Parshias, these four sections, are read at this time of the year and what they do. Now, they're not officially connected, or at least not very obviously. Let's run through them. The first is Shekolim, about the half shekel donation made by every adult male to the temple. This is read on or around Rosh Chodesh Adar. That was the time of the year when the shekels were collected, so that when it came to Nisan, they could bring offerings from the new money of the year. So it's connected to the season. The next one is read on the Shabbos before Purim. That's Zohar. That is about remembering Amalek, obviously thematically connected to Purim. The third, which we read last week, is Torah, about the red cow, the purification ritual that was required for everyone who was going to perform activities in the temple, enter the temple, eat holy foods. And it's read at this time of the year, most obviously, because as we work towards Nisan, the time of the year where every adult needed to be in a state of purity to eat the Pesach offering, its laws seem to be most relevant. And the final one this week, as I mentioned, is HaChodesh, the new month, the new year, the new calendar. And Nisan, it's read on or around Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which actually this year will be on Sunday, the day after the Parsha is read. There is no obvious connection between Shekolim and Zohar. And in fact, there are often gaps, sometimes between Shekolim and Zohar, sometimes between Zohar and Torah. In fact, they can never be on 4 consecutive weeks. But there may be no gap between Torah and HaChodesh. So I've told you that Shekolim is read on or around Rosh Chodesh Adar, Zohar before Purim, HaChodesh on or around Rosh Chodesh Nisan. When do we read Torah? The answer is the week before HaChodesh. There may be no gap between the two. There's obviously some connection. Before we explore that, thinking through the lens, through the eyes of Rabbi Solikar Cohen, the great Polish Hasidic thinker of the late 19th century, Shekolim is really about rethinking the way we use our resources. It's about money. Zohar is about identity and self. Torah is about spirituality. And HaChodesh is about connection and renewal. So seen that way, there is a sort of, if you like, re-entry process as we move from the dormancy of the winter through Purim and the lead up to Pesach. It's about correction, rethink and renewal. And as we shake off the dormancy of the winter, we eventually arise at Torah, which is about burning and breaking down. And then the phoenix rises from the ashes, the phoenix of HaChodesh rising from the ashes of the Torah. Renewal in the face of breakdown. That's a kind of common way to understand it. The Talmud Yerushalmi makes a very interesting comparison. I mentioned that there's a rule that you read Torah, the cow, always the week before HaChodesh, about the new month, and there may be no gap between them. Says the Talmud Yerushalmi, how does one remember this? Well, there's another set of 4. The 4 cups at the Seder. It's permitted to drink wine between the first and second cup, and between the second and third cup. But bein kosas halolu, between these cups, between the third and fourth cups, it is not permissible to drink wine. You can see the same structure. But if you are trying to use one as a mnemonic for the other, presumably there is an underlying common theme. The 4 cups of the Seder represent the 4 expressions of redemption. But if you look closely, you'll see that the first 3 are God's taking us, saving us, redeeming us, i.e. taking us away from a negative experience. And the final one is V'go'alti. God will redeem us and take us. It's a positive statement. What that seems to be saying is, conceptually, there are gaps in the record. The redemption happened in stages, but once they're ready to leave Egypt, then we have to move directly from the elimination of negativity into the positive relationship with God. That's, I think, why there can be no gap between the third and fourth cup, to symbolize this. And the same, of course, is happening here. Torah is the last stage in eliminating the negativity of the winter. HaChodesh is about renewal. God, if you like, nature, abhor a vacuum. There can be no vacuum. Once we have eliminated or reconsidered our approach to the world, it's necessary to immediately create innovation and renewal. I think this year, as we are gradually, thank God, beginning to see signs of hope, we're beginning to see that a lot of the negativity and difficulties, although we have a long way to go, are gradually being shaken off. This movement from negativity to positivity, I think, resonates especially. And hopefully this year, as we move spiritually through Porah into HaChodesh, from the winter into the spring, it will be accompanied by a flourishing of success, happiness, safety, and spiritual revival for all of us. Good Shabbos and sei gesund und stark.